Here we are. I'm Mike Moreno with Much More Media. I'm joined by Melissa Bankar from Farmers Insurance in Texas. And Melissa, I'm bringing you on the show for one specific reason, which is certainly that you are out there. You own your own business, and
Yes.
you're out there in the insurance space. But what you're doing to market your business is rather unique, or certainly a little bit ahead of some other people in the insurance space. And you're using content marketing really at a really high level, I think, and really in a really clean and expert way. And so I want to congratulate you on that. And I'd like to explore what got you to that point. So give us a little history. Like, first of all, how long have you been in this business? And when did you decide that content, using video content, using social media was going to be a way that you would market your business?
Absolutely. So, and thank you so much, Mike, for having me on. Vanguard to call myself your Texas Farmers Insurance agent. And even that was by design. So I've been in the insurance business for probably over 23 years. I'm secretly 90. I've just aged very well, I like to say. Yeah, I've been doing this for a really long time. I bought my agency back in March of just this year. So it's still relatively new.
Uh-huh.
And prior to January 1 of this year, I had never posted anything on Facebook. I didn't even know my Facebook password.
Mm-hmm.
It was not even a thing. And, so it was really, really new to me, very intimidating. But, I didn't know how I was going to distinguish myself from everybody else because, when you're driving down the street, you see 1,000 of us. I mean, there's, farmers here, go a mile down the road, there's another farmer. I'm
Right.
like, okay, how am I going to stand out, So I thought, all right, let me just post something and see how this works out. I made the mistake of committing to lots of future posts on my very first one. I was like, hey, it's Melissa Bankar. You're going to see more of me. You're going to see my staff, my family, this and this and this. And I'm like, wait, why did I just say that? I don't even know if I'm going to do a second one. So I kind of fell into it. Shockingly, that very first video got such a positive response. I thought, well, maybe this is something.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Kind of went from there. But it was really hard to ask other people how to do it because I don't know if there's anyone doing it to this crazy nth degree.
Uh-huh.
So there wasn't a playbook I could go off. I was just like, all right, well, how frequently should I post? What's my voice? What's the message? And what's my brand going to be?
Right. Well, and I think it's fair to say that for anybody starting out, we all have those questions. At every business that I talk to, anybody who's interested in now taking a look at this type of marketing, taking a look at this type of content and providing value to their audience and growing their audience that way is going to come up with those very same questions. And of course, there's other industries out there. We see all these Instagram influencers and we see people, even celebrities and other places where it kind of makes sense that this type of content marketing works for them. And you can say, well, it works for them, but how does it work for me? Well, the fact of the matter is that everybody starts in the same place. And what's really great is that A, we know it is working. And B, there are many examples. They may not be in your industry, but what's unique is that they are using the same platforms. And so what you have to figure out, and what anybody who chooses to, use this type of marketing, and certainly what we work with when we sit down with a business and help them craft a strategy to this is figure out, who are you talking to? And what is the message that you're trying to deliver? What is the value that you provide? And, how consistently can you do that? Because in the end, consistency is what really wins the day, because you have an opportunity, unlike any other time in the history of anybody's industry, to be in somebody's house, to be in somebody's, I don't know where I put my phone, but to be in somebody's pocket, literally, their face day in and day out all day long. So there's a strategy to that. You don't need to be selling every single time you're doing that, but you do need to help remind them that you are a person and you provide value and you're authentic and you care about
Yes.
the same things. And that helps build, and I think you've probably found this, that helps build an audience for you, or a following, people who engage with you that actually do appreciate all the same value things that you value, do appreciate all the same things that you
Yeah.
appreciate. And those are your ideal customers, as it turns out.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. So have you found that has there been anything surprising for you that you've learned in your process of developing this content for yourself, and maybe some things that you would like to do in the future?
So very early on, I had no call to action,
Right.
and I was like, I'm just, I'm Melissa Baker, blah, and I do my little content. And then someone who wasn't in my industry, who wasn't even in sales, said, "You should tell them what you want them to do. Call your agency." I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea. Call me for a quote."
Yeah. Right.
So, you add that piece, and then once you're doing enough content, you get people giving you advice all the time. "Hey, you should do this, and you should do this." And you're like, "Oh, okay, I should," So you have a lot of information coming at you.
Mhm.
So you really have to decipher what is your brand. And I don't know if I found my voice yet. When you watch my videos, they're kind of all over the place. I mean,
Right.
I by no means am Google for insurance. You're not going to learn about insurance products from my videos. They're typically 1 to maximum 3 minutes.
Uh-huh.
But what my intent is, I am Google for the Melissa Banker Texas Farmers Insurance Agency, right? You're
Mm.
going to learn about me, you're going to learn about my agency, you'll learn about my staff, and hopefully as I kind of let you into that world, you'll be able to determine, hey, is this somebody I want to do business with?
Right.
Right? Because what's that
Absolutely.
old saying? We do business with people who we know, like, and trust.
100%.
Well, I mean, I could give you a lot of, you know, insurance terminology and this and that, and that's great. But there are better sources you could get that information from. But how are you to know whether this agent here is the best fit for you?
Right.
Well, and the video and the content marketing really allowed me to use that as a way to communicate and kind of say, hey, this is who I am, this is who my staff is. And if it appeals to you, you may want to give me a call and we may want to do business. So
Yeah.
that's worked out really well for me. Um, in the future, where do I see this, going? I honestly have zero idea what works and what doesn't. I could tell you there's some videos I've done that I could have sworn were gonna be like awesome. They're my favorites. My
Yeah.
top 10 favorites never got more than a couple of views. The
Yeah.
ones that I was like, nobody's gonna watch this. This is like the lamest. Ugh. All of a sudden, it gets like 80 to 5,000 views. I'm like, you're
Mhm.
kidding.
Yeah.
So I really don't know, but I think you hit it when you said it's about consistency.
Hmm.
If you do enough of these videos, it may appeal that we're, hey, I can relate to that. That may be somebody I want to sit down and talk to about insurance. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like any business, what you're really doing is you're building relationships, and
right.
relationships take time.
Yes.
If you're going to build a relationship that involves people's money and people's livelihood,
Hmm.
and certainly a great deal of people's trust, which insurance involves all three of those things,
Absolutely.
that relationship needs time to develop and to be deep enough that they're willing to come in and ask you those further questions that then you
Right.
can either research together or go answer and give them more details on, uh, which I think is great. And again, you're a stellar example of that. And I would love for you
Oh,
to speak, Melissa, on how easy, or maybe not, how easy was it for you to get up and running and create these videos? And do you think it's easy enough for anybody to get up and doing these?
right. When I first did my videos, I had no clue on editing. And the question I get all the time over anything else is what kind of camera do I use and how do I edit my videos? So I'll tell you right now because people ask. I use an iPhone X or 10 or whatever that is and iMovie. So before I knew how to use that, I had to do it in one take. Let me tell you something. That's very, very hard. It was like 40 takes before I got that last one. I was like, all right, that's what we're going to use. But once you get to using the editing, it makes things a whole lot easier, right? I can like, cut pieces here. And
Sure.
can anyone do it? Absolutely. Absolutely. I was texted through LinkedIn from someone from Australia and said, can you give me some tips on how to do a video? And these are my 3 tips that I think about every single time. One, this is so vain and silly, but chin down.
Right.
Sometimes we have a tendency that when we're on camera, and I find this more towards, I consider myself an older agent. I'm like not 21, but the older we are, we tend to do this. Like we're
Mhm.
talking to an audience, right? And we're
Mhm.
like there's like you're in a stadium and stuff. So keep your chin down. The other thing is you're gonna want to smile when you talk. I see a lot of agents who put out these videos and they're talking about insurance. I mean, listen, it's not the sexiest product. I get it. But it's okay to talk about something as stodgy as insurance and still smile, because I think
Mhm.
when you smile and talk, there's a lot of kindness and genuineness that comes through, right?
Right.
And the third thing is just hit record. That's it. Don't be afraid. Don't worry about it. Just hit record and see what happens. Um, there's a lot of fear of like, oh, you know, what if it's not right? What if it's not this? It's not going to be, there is no right or wrong. You're going
Uh-huh.
to appeal to someone, right? Um, so I think the fear of doing it wrong is very prevalent.
Mhm.
Just hit record.
Man,
I
absolutely
I'll tell
great
you something.
tips. Yes.
Um, there'll be 3 or 4
Excuse me.
days in which I won't post anything. It's
Mhm.
not because I don't have content. It's because I got stage fright. It really is. There'll be
Oh,
days I'm
yeah.
like, what am I doing? I can't do this. And so you'll see me go dark for like 2 or 3 days, and then on my 3rd day I'm like, okay, Melissa, come on, you can do this. Just hit the button. And I'm like, no, I don't know what I'm doing. I talk too fast.
Mm.
I look, and it's just all this self doubt.
Yep.
And but everyone, no, I mean, I've done over 192 videos,
Look at that.
and
Yeah.
there's still that stage fright. They're like, oh, I
Right.
don't know what they're gonna think.
Well, those are absolutely great tips, and I couldn't agree with you more. And here's the reality of it. First of all, done is better than perfect. So, and
Yes, I
because
love
we
that.
have, we say this all the time to clients we work with, and even to ourselves, we have to remind ourselves everybody has to do this because you try to be as great as you can be, and you try to hit 100%.
Right.
But you also have to frame it in the world that you're actually in. You're not paying $150,000 for a commercial that's going to air for 30 seconds on network
Right.
television. That has to be perfect. I
Yes.
understand there's a lot of risk going into that.
Hmm.
Here in this world, when you're putting out a video on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or
Right.
anywhere else, whatever content that you're putting out, uh, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're building an audience. You're not creating a commercial. You're building an audience.
Yes.
You're building a relationship. You're having a conversation. If you make a mistake, that is okay. If you get some stage fright and you decide not to do it that day, that is okay. But once you
Yes.
start to realize that there's very low risk to talking to the people that you already want to be talking to via this device, then you
Absolutely.
start to see that there's actually content all around you. And this is the thing that I think you really, again, exemplify very well. And we try to encourage clients to really look at their business, is that there's actually content around you all the time. For instance, you have this tree behind you, right? Well,
Yes.
decorating a tree is a great piece of content, whether you're doing that at home with your family and you want to talk about it that way and invite them in on
Hmm.
a conversation, or if you're doing it at the office.
Right.
Having conversations with your employees. Maybe someone had a great day today, or someone is actually having a problem, and you want to showcase that, and everyone's okay with it. Then you're free to showcase that. There are lows, there are highs. You're living a life. You're a human being, but you're a human being
Right.
who owns a business in your case, or operates a business, or works in an industry, and you're relating to other human beings who do the same thing.
Hmm.
And there's an opportunity where there's common ground, and that's where you guys
Right.
get together, and that develops a business relationship. But authenticity is what everybody loves to tout, but that really comes down to you being okay being a real person.
Yes. It's
Being
that
okay being,
vulnerability.
yes,
Absolutely.
and lowering that
Uh,
bar for risk for yourself, I think is absolutely one of the first steps, which really helps someone embrace the idea of, oh, I can be a person through this device. I'm not creating a commercial. I'm actually
right.
building a relationship.
I have found that the videos that I've done that are really ad lib, I mean, it's just kind of riffing and just those
Yeah.
have gone over much better
Yeah.
than if I had a script. First of all, the way I do my videos where they're very, I'm at the grocery store or I'm at some kind of conference where it's literally like, oh, hey, I'm here. How do I tie this to what I'm doing? You hit
Right.
record and off we go. So um, there is not always a script. And what you're saying is there's always content. But I find that those that are just kind of more fluid, just more authentic and more natural, very organic, they do much better than stuff that I've tried to, choreograph
Manufacturer. Yeah.
and those are so much harder to produce. And I'll give you a plug. I saw some of your sample videos. They're phenomenal. I
Ah,
love them.
thank
They're
you very
great.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're short.
Mhm.
Um, they're very romantic, and I say that because it's very fluid, and the message comes across very genuine. I think that's great. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. Well, that's, and that's a conversation that we often have with any client. So we do, we work on strategy for folks like yourself, or either in the insurance
Right,
market or any other market, talking about building an audience. And that, of course, is a
right.
long process. And we talk about how to do that. But then there are many times when people want a one-off product, they want something that's
Mhm.
like a commercial, or they want multiple
Right.
pieces of professionally produced content that really
Yes.
works for them. Absolutely. And what it all comes down to, it's again, all the same conversation, which is, who are you talking to?
Yes.
What is the value that you're providing them? What do you want them to do? Your call to action, right?
Yes.
And
Oh my goodness.
what is the relationship that we're building? Is this me popping into your living room asking you to do something and you only get 30 seconds to do it? Then that's a certain type of messaging. If I get to see you for a minute for the next 30, 60, 90 days, then that's a
Right.
different type of messaging. And we can have a conversation that is far more casual and far more fluid. And there's a lot of opportunity to explore there. And I personally get like
Absolutely.
very excited about that type of stuff, because I believe that, something that we try to do as a business is we'll come in and we'll solve your problem for you for sure. But really what we want to do, and we'll work for you over long periods of time, but really what we want to do is help you help yourself, help you,
Right.
train you
Yes.
as a business owner to understand this world now so that you can take advantage of this, because eventually the other advertising agencies and everybody else, they're
Yes.
going to fall away. They're not going to be there, or somebody else is going to be coming in and fighting for that space. But you actually have far more control as a business owner now than we've ever had in the history of
Absolutely.
our industry. So I think it's great that people get to take advantage of that, as long as they know how to wrap their head around it and be like, oh, this is how messaging, marketing, building an audience, creating a relationship really
Hmm.
works in these modern
Absolutely.
times. Yeah,
I mean, I couldn't agree. I actually have a friend of mine who has a marketing person on staff that does all his videos.
mm-hmm.
And his fear is I I can't do a video without him. And so, if he were to leave, how do I continue that?
Right.
Um, you know, my videos are very much his brand and how he's done it.
Mm-hmm.
So, picking up with someone else, and I'm like, it really took me about a total of about 2 hours
Mm-hmm.
to figure out the iPhone editing. So where you got really good at, cutting and cutting. And I do it on my phone and I like play, small and this, but I can do it in my driveway
Yeah.
before I go in. It's so quick. It's so, it's mobile. But if you get really good at editing, like you're mentioning, you can control the content that you put out on a regular basis because you don't have to have a camera crew follow you and be available. I'm like, hey, the set's here. We gotta, it's just you and this right here.
100%. And, one thing I'll add, because we could certainly go into this for hours, but I also try to encourage business owners, once they start down this path of creating content, to understand that you actually don't have to do it. It is important that your content is consistent as it's delivered to your
Hmm.
audience, but we have ways now where you can actually stack the creation side of it. So you could shoot, let's say, 3, 4, 5 videos in one day, and then you have the ability
Right.
to schedule the release of those pieces of content out across your platforms for the course of the week. So you've actually only spent 1 hour making something,
Yes.
and your entire week is full of content, and it doesn't take up your entire week to do it. So these are like, really, again, the power is in the business owner's hands, unlike ever before.
Sure.
And I really think it's phenomenal. And I love to see it when people really get that spark like yourself and
Yeah.
like really get on board with it and start to create something that's really quite powerful. And it really does draw people's attention, right? Because the attention is the currency of the internet at this point. And
Yes,
once you have their
absolutely.
attention, now you can do something with it. But you first got to get their attention. But the risk level and the ability to get in on the ground floor in terms of grabbing someone's attention now is so much more open than it
Right.
has ever been before. You don't have to pay for a Super Bowl commercial. Farmers is doing
Yeah.
that for you.
They
You
do the
know,
heavy lifting, which, thank you, farmers.
100%.
You know, all they want me to do is promote and introduce me as the
Yes.
individual agent. So that's always great. It's now been, this is month 11. No, yeah, about month 11 in doing social media.
You're a
It
pro.
is not, uh, for the people who have the expectation that you're going to do a couple videos and boom, it's just going to take off. You're going to go viral. You're going to set yourself up for disappointment.
Sure.
You know, I was talking to an agent who asked, well, how do I know I'm making progress? I'm like, well, first of all, so you don't get discouraged, set your limit or your goal as to, hey, I want to increase my followers by 10 or 20 people a month.
Yes.
That's not possibly a doable number. Try to say, I'm going to do one video a week if that's what you want to do.
Right.
Create your goals so that you feel better about it. I'll tell you, and it's just the strangest thing. In the past week and a half, I have seen my views double. I mean, and if I talk to other people, they're like, yeah, all of a sudden, people were like, I'm paying attention. And I'm like,
Right.
I've done this for 11 months. And,
Yeah.
we've got some views here and there. But now I'm seeing a lot more views. I mean, literally double my views within a week. And I'm not doing anything different. I'm not, spending any more money.
Hmm.
I spend very, very little money on advertising through, the social media channels and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I did it because it was cheap. I didn't
Yeah.
have a lot of money when I'm still kind of first starting out. I haven't even finished my first year. So it was the best way for me to get my message out and spend the least amount of money.
Yes.
So,
100%.
if you just continue with the consistency as you're mentioning, you're going to get those views. You're going to get that following. It just takes a little time. So
Yeah.
don't
And
get
again,
discouraged if it doesn't happen overnight.
oh, 100%. Yeah, you're lighting a long fuse, and
Yes.
it's very much, yeah, part of the process is that slow burn essentially. But
Right.
you're working in a local market, and sort of the last
Mhm.
point we'll focus on here is that you're working in a local market. You've got a national brand behind you, and as you said, they do the heavy lifting. But you need
Right.
local people to come in and know about you and connect with you.
Yes.
And I think you've seen these results that by putting out this content, by doubling your audience in this
Right.
last week, I have no doubt that you're probably getting people, whether it's in the grocery store or whatever, knowing who you are, or certainly sending you messages on Facebook. And
It's wild.
now that means that when you're top of mind when they need a product you sell, when they need a
Yes.
service that you provide, and I'm sure that has turned into people coming in your door who are actually coming in because they've seen you on Facebook or one of the
Exactly. That for some, that is the only reason why they're coming to the door.
right.
I had just 2 days ago, I had a mortgage broker who called and said, hey, I've never really used you. I've seen a lot of your videos, and it was like a billboard. I
Mhm.
passed by it, I passed by it, I passed by
Right.
it. He's like, I've probably seen 9, 10 videos. And on the 11th one, he's like, wait a second, why am I not using her? And then all of a sudden, I couldn't get away from you. I see you everywhere because
Exactly.
it finally clicked like, oh, I get it. And
And it's
within
a
probably
billboard
24
that you're not
hours,
paying $3,000 a month for.
I know because I checked on that. You're absolutely right.
I know. I checked
And
too.
then, and literally within 24 hours, we started getting business from him.
Right.
And it was because of that consistency. I see you, I've seen you 7 times, but time 9, 10. Hello, I've done this 192 times, but finally I got somebody's attention. So
Yes.
it's working. And that's great.
And so great. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, on your business, and then also, of course, on the content marketing success. And I just think that you're a stellar example, and I encourage everybody to follow you. So let's encourage them. Where can they find you, Melissa,
Yes.
professionally, and where can they watch your videos?
Right. So, if you're on Facebook, it's Melissa Bankard Insurance. On LinkedIn, it's Melissa Bankard Insurance. On YouTube, it's Melissa Bankard. It's Melissa Bankard. Again, I say it all the time. I say in the very beginning and the very end of almost every one of my videos. I'm Melissa Bankard, your Texas Farmers Insurance agent.
Outstanding. I love it. Melissa, thank you so much for joining me for a chat. And I think,
so much.
really providing some valuable insight. I appreciate it.
Very much. You got it anytime.